Hello, this is Rico Cavella, and this is your Fearless Aging podcast. And as always, with all of our episodes, my guests and I, we strive to offer you proven tips and strategies that you can implement immediately to help you live a healthier, more energetic, successful, fulfilling, long life and never be old. So we're here to inspire you and empower you to become your best self so you can go out and make a bigger positive difference in the world. And I don't think there's anyone who doesn't know how much we need that these days. So we need you to step up and be your best self. So we're here to help. That's what we're all about. So before I get into the title of this and introduce our great guest today, I want to remind you that now it's really, I offer a free coaching session to all of our listeners. And it's really easy to book a call with me now. Just go to chatwithrico.com, chatwithrico.com, and you can book your call with me, and I'll help you in every way I can to get you on track with whatever health or fitness challenges you may be having. All right, so the title of today's episode is Prevention is the Best Medicine. And that is so true. That's definitely what I'm all about, and our guest is all about. And and I just want to say that, we don't have really what we call a healthcare system is really a sick care system, right? They try and do something for you and, when you're already sick. So we don't learn how to prevent all this stuff. That's the answer, to all this. How are we going to pay for all this healthcare? Well, let's just stop having it, and we won't have to pay for it. So I guess she's got a really lot of things, and she says she's going to share every tool in her toolbox for reaching optimal health. So she's got a lot in her toolbox there. It's going to be really interesting. So our guest, her name is Dana Frost, and now as a functional nutritionist and lifestyle practitioner, she shines a light on how you can feel younger while growing older. Dana is a body, mind, and spiritual alchemist who educates women towards putting themselves first and reaching optimal health so they can enjoy vibrant lives. She specializes in stress management, self-care, breath techniques, restoring energy, and aromatherapy for physical and emotional health. So Dana Frost, thanks so much for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here, Rico. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, I have to say at first, you got so many things going on here, and you have so many uh, things that you do and you're knowledgeable about. You can help people. We could go on for a really long time. I think we'll have to have you come back again to go through all these things. And I noticed you mentioned about self-care. I wish I would have met you before. You would have been a great guest for our, a year ago, I produced what I call the Ageless Body Self-Care Summit, where I actually interviewed 77 top wellness experts like yourself, all areas of self-care. So that's really what you're all about too. So, but before we get into all that, tell us a little bit about. Tell me what are you most passionate about in your life right now?
So I heard you ask that question on some of your
Yeah,
podcasts. I had
yeah.
such a great time listening to your podcast,
Oh,
Rico.
thank you.
Thank you. And right now, I'm passionate about something that's very specific. I mean, I'm always passionate about health, but I'm passionate about these patches that activate your body's own stem cells. And so when we talk about reverse aging, feeling younger, growing older, we really want our stem cells to be active. And we know that stem cell injection, that's a big biohack right now in the industry. And there's technology it's the size of a round Band-Aid. And it has energetic programming with liquid organic crystals that activates your body's own stem cells. It's really amazing. Have you heard about this company by chance, Rico?
Yeah, LifeWave.
LifeWave. Oh, you have. Great. Oh,
Uh-huh.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm pretty passionate about activating my own stem cells right now.
Yeah, that is a really a coming thing, and hopefully in not too near future, we'll really be able to use stem cells, to just repair joints and all sorts of things. So that's something that's coming. So again, that's one of the reasons why you want to stay as healthy and as energetic and fit as you can, because not too far future, we're going to be able to pretty much really not only prevent most illnesses, but we're going to be able to repair a lot of things along the way. So that's something that's a really good topic. We could talk about probably some other time as well. So tell us a little bit about your journey. I know you've had quite a journey here and how you got to be- get yourself so educated on all these subjects.
Yeah, thank you for asking, Rico. Well, I started as a life coach in 2006 while I was living in South America.
Mm,
And how I ended up going down that path is that we had adopted two children while we were living in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And I ended up needing some support for that transition. And
mm,
I hired a life coach who was living in the US. And it was such a transformational experience for me. It was so positive and so empowering that instead of completing, I was going for a master's in theology. I decided that I would just do my life coach training because at that point then that I had five kids. So I had
wow.
we had three daughters, and
Wow.
then we added a son and a daughter. And I did my life coach training. And so that's been consistent since 2006. But I actually had a healthcare crisis in 2011. So that was
Oh,
10 years ago. I have a pacemaker. I had at that point, what collided in my health were several different issues root cause issues that I was unaware of. And a stab with a knife trying to pit an avocado took me to the emergency room, which is how I discovered I had several underlying health conditions
mm,
that resulted in a pacemaker implant. And that healing journey, Rico, was very significant for me because my electrophysiologist said mind you, I had been very tired. And I respond to that fatigue as many women do. It's stress. Naturally, I'm tired. I had five kids at home. My oldest had just graduated from high school. We were in Turkey as a family. And I just remember being behind my family the whole time. I was tired. I had to sit down and rest. And um, during that summer, just walking, I was loved walking and would walk miles every day. And I noticed I was just very, very slow, very slow. And I said, oh, it's the hot sun. Well, I had never had a response to the hot sun before, but I just wrote off the fatigue as it's stress. And naturally, I'm tired. I'm working. I was coaching at the time and I have my five kids. My husband traveled a lot for work. And it really took this emergency, completely unrelated to underlying health conditions, to wake me up to really take a look at what is going on. Why am I so tired? So I thought I'll have the pacemaker implanted and I'll feel, as my electrophysiologist said, you'll feel like your old self again. But I didn't.
mm.
I actually felt no different. Pacemaker was working, the heart was beating rhythmically, regularly at a healthy rate, but I was still exhausted. And my electrophysiologist really had no answers for me. I went to the cardiologist, every other part of my heart was fine. I went to the endocrinologist and discovered I was pre-diabetic, and that is a genetic component for me. But I was still really tired, and it took me 7 months to get to a doctor that could help me understand what was really going on. Started doing my own research. This is where I discovered the work of heart math. I don't know if you're familiar with heart math
I
and
definitely
how,
am.
yeah. So I read a book by a cardiologist in San Diego, actually, Rico. Um, and it was When the Heart Speaks. And that's where I learned about heart math. And through her book, I never know how to pronounce her name, Dr. Guarneri, she's a female cardiologist. She talked about how, we know that the heart is related to so many aspects of who we are as a person. And I started just contemplating the weight of stress on my life and how I needed to give it more attention. And I started practicing every day. I sat down with my laptop and my heart math device and really started tuning in to my heart. And that's that journey of healing. It took me 2 years, Rico, to heal completely. There were some hormonal issues. I was perimenopause. I had the pre-diabetic component that I was healing. I was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. And through that healing journey, I decided I wanted to help other people because honestly, it was a lonely journey. Um,
Yeah.
I was lonely. I was going through it alone, and I was cobbling together, my resources. And I thought people need a hand to hold when they're going through a health crisis. So that's why the functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner came in. I decided to study under Andrea Nakayama through the Functional Nutrition Alliance,
Wow. So good.
really to support people in their health journeys.
Wow. That's so good. Well, let's talk about a self-care aspect of this. Isn't it true that so many women, and I think well, you tell me, but it seems to me what I'm hearing is because you had 5 children and you had, you had your life to deal with and all that. And so many women, isn't it true that they're just giving and taking care of it, but they're not taking care of themselves. And eventually that manifests, whatever manifests in our mental, emotional state begins to manifest in our physical bodies, right? And
Oh,
so
I
I think
completely agree.
that's a perfect example. What I think this is so important for people to know that, and like I say, particularly women, women, you guys particular, are just such good caregivers, and you care for your children and husbands and every and siblings and all that, but sometimes you don't care for yourself. So this is such an important message that you got to care for yourself, and if you don't, eventually your body's going to break down, and it can break down in many different ways. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses, right, and genetic
Yeah.
aspects, and so it you can't say, well, this causes this causes that. No, it's whatever maybe your body's susceptible to when you're under stress and lack of self-care. Some You're going to break down in some certain ways, and that's so important that you were able to discover that and heal yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to say, and this actually comes from a book, The Body Keeps Score. The body records, the body is a library of everything that's ever happened to us.
Mhm.
And the body remembers. And if we can in the moment metabolize all the different emotions, the things that we're experiencing, if we can metabolize them and release them, and have movement, move them out of our body, then they don't stick, that we don't get those issues in our tissues. But I wasn't doing that. I had 10 years of stress, and I can remember feeling that my heart was burning. And this is, I don't like to admit this, but it was fits of rage. I mean, I was really struggling with one of my children, and I remember feeling so angry, and I call it rage. I call it what it is. I felt like my heart was on fire. During that time, I had an undiagnosed cough that took me to in the emergency room in Brazil on several occasions. Thankfully, when I was in the US one summer, I went to this amazing chiropractor who uses all these different modalities, and he did some corrections through cranial sacral and other practices to support me releasing that. And so that cough went away. But there were so many signs and symptoms physiologically, Rico, that I thought I was taken care of, but actually I wasn't, because I wasn't releasing. I was still holding tension in my body, and the body breaks down under that. Eventually, it will manifest in some sort of condition physiologically. And I really believe that's what's happened. That is what happened to me. And when we talk about self-care, I can remember, Rico, early in my coaching practice, there is a coaching tool that I learned from Dr. Martha Beck, and it's called the body compass. And you just start consciously paying attention to your roles and responsibilities, the way you spend your time, and you rate, how does it feel physically, in really, like, in my body, grounded in my body? Does it feel like flow, or does it feel like constriction? So believe me, I already knew that tool. I was a user of that tool for 10 years before I had my health crisis. Not quite 10 years. That's not right. I guess 5 years. But I felt like I was using that. And I just remember as I was coaching women, and they would become aware of how some of their roles and responsibilities did not really agree with them. And and this idea of self-care, it's just easy for women to call it selfish.
Okay. Yeah.
And so
Uh,
I think that women, we get confused about selfishness and self-care.
Absolutely. And I want to, if I want, I just want to say, I think the really important point here for our listeners is that it's all about feeling. We're feeling human beings. So, like you say, that body compass, we have to take time. You know, we get so, I don't know how we got into this such a rush, stressful society that we have to rush and we got to do this and that. And we don't have time. I don't have time for that. It's just crazy, you know? So, what you really need to do is slow down and just, like you say, what am I really doing? You know, how am I feeling about every different aspects in your life? Because if you're not feeling good about whatever aspect of your life, whether it's your career, your business, your children, your family, whatever, that's creating an underlying stress that's going to manifest itself in some physical ailment. So that's why it's so important. So we want our listeners to. This is such a good story you have, Dana. We want our listeners to understand that slow down and think about what's going on in your life. And if you're not feeling really good and feel like you're in the flow and enjoying and feeling like you're living on purpose, you're probably going to end up being sick. So you've got to get a handle on that and get in more in touch with your feelings, just men and women both, and make some changes so that what you're doing in your life feels good. Everything what we should be doing in our life should feel good, right?
It's so true, Rico. Yes, 100% yes. And I think we resist that. And why
Yeah.
do we resist that? I don't know why, but it really is the golden nugget of feeling younger, growing older. It really
Yeah.
is. It's the golden nugget of reverse aging. It's the golden nugget of continuing to be vibrant in our lives is
and
really,
and for prevention, that's what's going to prevent it,
and
right?
it is what's going to prevent it, and bringing a conscious awareness to how we feel every day and what are we thinking, because it is our thoughts that determine our feeling state, and then the feeling state is the energy. And if we stay for long periods of time in feeling states that are depleting, those become the issues that get stuck in our tissues.
Yeah, absolutely not. I just want to mention too that in case some of our listeners aren't quite aware of this, but everything is energy in the universe. Everything is energy, including our thoughts, our words. Everything is energy. So if you're using words that are uh, not positive to your life, or you use a lot of negativity, you're complaining, or your thoughts, you're feeling stressful and unhappy thoughts, that's energy, and that energy is going is going to manifest just like you said. So this is such an important topic, that I mean, it's pretty common. We know a lot of things, that we can do to prevent. We need to eat. I mean, we've covered a lot of things, about how to eat healthier foods and find out what foods are better for you, and obviously, developing a fitness program and getting enough sleep and all those are pretty commonly known things. But this is a topic that really is the root cause of most of our problems. And so this is something that we really need to dig deeper into, and so people can really understand this. So this is so good. So but let's talk a little bit more about the heart math thing. What I know about heart math is, and actually where I do the heart brain coherence every day. Where you take a few minutes and just go into your heart space and just think grateful thoughts, and that sends calming messages to your electromagnetic fields to your brain, and then your brain calms down, and then your brain waves are symmetrical, and then they send calming, peaceful, healing messages to your body, and so your body can heal itself. And the opposite is, if you're complaining, or you're upset, or you're feeling stress, or you're unhappy, then you're sending those messages to your brain, and then your brain is all chaotic, and that's sending those kind of messages to your body, and then that's creating a lot of stress in your body.
That's so true. Yes. So heart math is, they are research-based breathing techniques where you're tapping into the wisdom, the intelligence of your heart. So your heart it can be measured in the electrical field, and it has an energy resonance to it. And that you can actually see, a trained practitioner can determine your emotional state based on the electrocardiogram, based on just the pattern of the uptick and the downtick of the heart rate variability. And so you want your heart rate variability to be coherent. So you don't want it to be, kind of crazy up, down, and lacking in coherence. You want the up and the down on electrocardiogram to be roughly the same. Young babies have the greatest variability in heart rate. And as we age, it tends to decrease, because you can imagine as you breathe your final breath, that variability flatlines. That's the flat line of the heart rate variability.
Mm-hmm.
What HeartMath has learned through their research is that we can increase and improve our heart rate variability through their breathing techniques. And they have devices that you can use so that you actually get to see. This is what I was doing every day for a year. I was on their device practicing, just really getting in tune with my heart rate variability from a visual perspective, training myself to be in tune using my breath with heart rate variability. So you start, the very, very first basic heart math tool is inhaling and exhaling through your heart center. It's a visualization.
Before we go on and talk about that, I forgot I wanted to tell our audience that you have a great gift for them if they stay with us till the end, which won't be too much longer. And you have a great gift. It's an ebook called Vitality? Tell us a little bit about that.
Checklist. Yeah, it's an ebook that I created that is a checklist for daily vitality. So I give you really very simple things that you can do, checklist to take care of yourself. It's a self-care mini guide.
Very good. Yeah. So you definitely want to stick around, and then we'll tell you how you can get your free copy of that. Okay. So go ahead.
Yeah. So it's there. The breathing techniques are visualizations, and you're visualizing the inhale and exhale to come from your heart center. That's just the very first tool, is visualizing the inhale and exhale. We can do it now. And I already feel a shift. When I just talking about it, I could feel the shift in my heart rate variability.
So you're breathing into your heart, you're breathing into your heart space?
Yeah, visually, you're visualizing the inhale and exhale to come to and from your heart. I do like to tell people that physically, the inhale goes in and out the nose, and it goes down into the belly, so that you're oxygenating the lower, your organs, the lower part of your body. But from a visualization, we're visualizing it to flow to and from the heart center. And you'll notice it brings this calm over the system. And then we can add on the inner ease technique, where we add a feeling state to the inhale and exhale. So we inhale and exhale from the heart center with the feeling of inner ease. And you'll notice how that just shifts the energy. And then they go on. There are many different techniques that HeartMath has that they're all proven. It's a scientific organization, actually.
Well, and it actually stems from yoga. I mean, the yogis know about the breath. The breath is our connection to our higher self and into God inside, and our spiritual self. And our breath's our best tool that we have. We all that's the first thing I always do with all of my clients when we work with people. The most important thing. They don't get it, but I say the most important thing is our breathing and doing this breathing first, and before any kind of physical exercise. The most important thing. So I think learning more breathing techniques.
Yeah, I call it the original coaching tool. It's like the first thing. I am with you 100%. It's the very first step. It's the first thing I impart to clients, is slowing down and getting in tune with their breath.
Yeah, that's really. I know you mentioned about the practice of Kayut yoga. I haven't heard of that. What is Kayut yoga? Kayut yoga. Yeah. What is that?
Kayut yoga. I would love to introduce you to Kayut yoga. Kayut yoga was created by a Brazilian, Francisco Kayut. Oh. And I can give you a link to his website.
Yeah, I'll check that out
for your show notes. Yeah. So Kayut yoga, it's very different than many forms of yoga, but it goes back to what he would say is the original yoga purpose, which is using the body to expand the mind. Mm-hmm. And in Kayut, what we're accessing is restriction, setting restriction in the body free. And where, if we talk about issues in the tissues, they get stored in our joints.
Mhm.
And so the joints store the things that happen to us. And so we have poses, series of poses, sequences of poses that create access to the joints where there's constriction. And when you create, when you restrict the access to the joints, and then when you open up the pose, the blood that carries your immune system rushes to the joints and starts to do the cleanup work that needs to be done. So you're really setting your body free, restoring the original nature. If you think about the anatomy of the musculoskeletal system, we were designed to sleep on the floor. We were designed to, hunt and gather. We weren't designed for sitting in a chair for 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
The body was really designed for great range of motion in the joints. And so it's really restoring the nature of the musculoskeletal system and the mind-body system.
Wow. Yeah.
I think
Well,
you'd find it quite interesting.
yeah. Well, I mean, all different, facets of yoga are so important. Yeah, I'm totally into that as well. I'm a practitioner, not practitioner. What do they call it? Of Yogananda, our self-realization. We have a self-realization center here in San Diego, and that's real yoga. Breathing and meditation, and the movements are important, but it's really the breath and the meditation, and it's what's really will get us on our spiritual path where we need to be. Well, again, I think, again, I just want to make the point that what we've been talking about is why it's so important, that it's all, everything that's going on in our life is first of all, it's all in our, it's all in our thoughts and our beliefs and our mind. But I think the real point to make, just like you have proven, is that no matter what challenges you're having, there's solutions, and if you just take the time, but you got to take the responsibility for it, right? You have to take the responsibility and learn what you need to do, and get some coaching, like from Dana or from so many great practitioners these days, right?
Yeah,
If
you
you,
know what? The body seeks homeostasis.
right,
And I've heard you say this on your show. The body knows how to heal itself.
yes,
And if we can sync up and take responsibility, we can heal. The body will heal. The body mind system can heal itself. But it is an enormous responsibility. You know, to heal the different complexities that were happening in my life, it took a couple of years. And, I rested every day for a year. I went to acupuncture every week unless I was traveling for a year. Really, those were the tools I had at the time. And yeah, I mean, the body seeks homeostasis
yeah.
and it wants to be in sync.
If we could stay joyful and all of our life, and just and eat, it is amazing, Dana, that the things that we really need, that can really help us in our life in this journey on with this physical body on this planet, we don't learn how important our health is and how to take care of our physical body. We don't learn self-care. We don't learn how to build relationships with everyone. We don't learn how to have really good self-esteem, and feel good about ourselves, and connect with our feelings. All those things we aren't taught, right? That's
And
the
most
things
of
that,
them are free.
yeah, I
Right,
mean,
Rico? Most of them are free. And if we think about the things that contribute to our health, most of them are things that we can grow. They come from nature. Um, it costs nothing to go be in a fresh body of water or be in the ocean or go forest bathe, connect to our breath. Most of the things that are really going to heal us are free.
yeah, like earthing. I love to go walk barefooted. I always get out. I try and get it every day, either at the beach or in the park or something, and just walk barefoot. There's so many ways that we can begin to slow down and get our body back into balance, and we can just have so much more energy, and experience the joy of living. And that's what my ageless living lifestyle is all about. Realizing that you have to develop a healthy, joyful lifestyle for yourself, and but you got to do it. You got to take responsibility for it. But I mean, we understand why it's difficult because we're all thrust into this world and all the negativity that there is, and all the things that just we somehow get off course
Mhm.
and do it. It's like we're still doing. And we're still having wars and killing each other. It's just absurd that we haven't grown that much yet to get past all this stuff and realize the things that can make life so good for everybody. But
Mhm.
it's changing though. I know I totally believe we're in a new shift. There's so many great people doing great things just like yourself, and that's why I love doing these podcasts because I keep meeting more and more great people like yourself and other people that are doing so many great things. So I'm very optimistic. We are moving more. The lights overtaking the darkness, and we're moving forward. But it takes everybody to step up and believe that that can happen, and then the
Mhm.
more people that do that, the more it will happen, right?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Rico.
Yeah. So before we tell some people how they can get your free gift, I think it's going to be really helpful for you. Tell me let's kind of sum up what we talked about today, and give us to say what you think uh, as far as because our topic was prevention. How to prevent all these unnecessary ailments that we're having and dying way
Mhm.
too young. So what would you say the top three things that everybody could begin doing right now that would really be the best, help them to prevent all this unnecessary
Yeah,
things in the future?
that's such a great question. And let me just see if I can distill it down to three
Sure.
things.
Or whatever you
I
want.
came
Yeah.
up, yeah, well, I
Whatever you
came up
want.
with this idea of prevention is the best medicine because when I looked at my own health crisis, it was preventable. And so, and the healing journey, it just allowed me to understand that so many of most of the things that we face today, chronic diseases and illnesses are preventable. So I think I want to just preface that we can have all this wonderful good food, and as you said, we all know that movement and healthy food, we need those things, we need sleep, but it's really what can our body do with that. So if the body is in dysbiosis, if the gut is in dysbiosis, and you've got podcasts that talk about that, I've listened to them,
Mhm.
people can come back and reference those, then it can't actually process, metabolize, utilize, be nourished by those good foods. So I would say, number one, if there was one thing, is cut out sugar. Like, I'm going to just make it super simple. Like, the sugar is something that is so inflammatory to the body, and it's, messes with our hormones as well. And so, like, a really simple thing would be to cut out sugar. And then I'm going to kind of blend some other things. If we're not sleeping, then the body cannot properly restore itself and reset. So we need to be thinking about, what is our sleeping pattern? So sugar, what is our sleeping pattern? And then I would go back to the simple idea of, we are the synchronicity of the mind body system. And so if I had to like pull us into that, it would be the breath. Become conscious to what you're thinking and to your physical body through your breath. Bring your curiosity and your awareness to the breath. And in those moments of, okay, this is my breath. And I always tell my clients, the healthy breath, this comes from Dr. Andrew Wise. Physically, the healthy breath is deep, it's slow, it's quiet, and it's regular. Preface yourself when you come to your breath. Is it deep, slow, quiet, regular? How am I feeling? Acknowledge. Don't ignore or don't discount. How am I feeling in this moment? Be present in the moment. How am I feeling physically? What are my thoughts? And then, do a reset with those. And you can use your heart-centered breathing. Those are just three, really simple ways that we can prevent. If we cut out sugar, we're going to prevent a lot just simply by cutting out sugar. If we're getting proper sleep every night, the body's going to be able to reset and restore. If we bring ourselves to the breath, we're going to be connected that the soul is going to connect the body and the mind. And we're going to be prefaced and present in the moment. And we're going to have the understanding that, oh, maybe the soul wants to say something to us. That's the best prevention, is just that the wise inner teacher. We come to our breath, we connect with our wise inner teacher.
Yeah, that's so good. I totally agree. But I think what you said, number 3 is the most important. You need to start there. You need to get connected and just slow down and breathe and connect to what you're really thinking and feeling. That's the most important thing. And when you do that, then it also will make it much easier to eat more healthy live foods and move your body, and because your inner knowing will just lead you to that. This is what I need to do. You get more in touch with your innate intelligence and your intuition, and then you realize that this is what I need to do. This is what I need to eat, and how I need to move, and how I need to relate to people and to myself, and all those things. So it's a process, but this is such an important message. I really enjoyed what you had to say. I think this is so important for our audience. Well, let's tell our audience now how you can get that great ebook from you.
Yeah, so it's a link. So there'll be a link that will take you to my website, and you'll input your email address, and then you'll get an automatic download of the ebook. And so we'll put that in the show notes. Does that sound good, Rico?
Yeah, we'll put it in the direction. But go ahead and tell, is it an easy web address, a link, or not?
So it's Dana, yes, I'm at danafrost.com. I think it's /daily vitality. I don't remember precisely what it is. It's
but if they want to get a hold of you too and find out about your coaching or anything, just go to danafrost.com, right?
danafrost.com is the easiest way. I'm also active on Instagram under Dana Frost. So
okay, very good. Dana, that was so good. I really enjoyed it, and I think I think you came up with some really good things, and your story and your journey is, a lot of people have experienced what you experienced, but they haven't been able to get on that journey for healing. So I think that's the way sum it up for me, is that we all have these challenges, and but we can, once we step up and take the responsibility, we can heal ourselves, and there's so many possibilities these days. You just got to get out there and do it. So that's how I like to end all the episodes.
Love it. Yeah, that sounds great, Rico.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to end it by always saying that knowledge without action is useless. So you got to we always give you lots of good knowledge, and there's no lack of knowledge available today. So there's no excuse for not learning and getting educated and learn how to take care of yourself and caring for yourself, and also being your best self so you can go make a bigger difference in the world. That's why we're here. So just got to step up and do it. And you can do it, right, Dana?
Yes, you can. Yeah, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yes, you can. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you for having me, Rico.